Jackson had an absolute, total, and thorough inability to sleep.
I'm here to get justice for Michael Jackson.
Your Honor, I am an innocent man.
He was not an anesthesiologist. He was not board certified in cardiology. Conrad Murray was not board certified in any medical specialty. Michael Jackson's death was a homicide.
Sorry, there was some slight inconvenience. After that, the counsel and I have been discussing some matters to make your job hopefully a little bit easier. So we're on the record, and we're going to resume the case. Thank you. Good morning to counsel and Dr. Murray. And at this time, the people can call their next witness.
Thank you. The people call Stacey Ruggles.
So we're on the record, and we're going to resume the case. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give and the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Stacey Ruggles, Stacey Ruggles.
Ms. Ruggles, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me provide you with instructions which I give to every witness in every case. The first of which is to please sit back and relax. The second of which is to speak loudly so everybody can hear you. The third of which is to answer a question yes or no if you're called upon to answer such a question, and avoid using a term of slang like which can be confusing. The last instruction is to please wait until you have heard an entire question before you even start to answer it. In our daily lives, many of us think we know the question that's being asked, so we interrupt and start answering. But it's important in court to wait for the full question to be asked before responding. Is that okay? Thank you. Direct, please, Ms. Brazil.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Do you recognize the defendant, Conrad Murray, seated here in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. In fact, he is your employer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you worked for him?
Since 1997.
I'd like to direct your attention to June 25th of 2009. May I ask the court, judicial assistant, to turn the lights on?
Ms. Benson, thank you.
Ma'am, are you able to see the screen up there?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to direct your attention to a phone call entry in yellow where my pin is. Do you see that at 10:34 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your telephone number, 619-994-3233?
It was, yes.
Was it your phone number on June 25th of 2009?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak with your employer, Conrad Murray, on June 25th, 2009?
Yes, ma'am.
And the conversation was approximately 8.5 minutes, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then at 11:07, you called Conrad Murray back, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak with him when you called him back?
I believe so.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Ms. Brazil, thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Chernoff, would you like the lights on or off? On, please. And the exhibits have been removed.
Ms. Ruggles, you said you believe so. Do you know so?
Yes.
Okay. What was the conversation about?
Objection. Call for your side.
Objection's overruled. You may answer.
To let him know that I sent the email.
Okay. Very brief conversation.
That was it.
Okay. Ms. Ruggles, when I want to take you away from June 25th and ask you several questions about something that occurred earlier than that.
Okay.
Do you recall a period of time where you were enlisted to help Dr. Murray open up a medical office in Houston, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us when that was?
Beginning of 2005.
Okay. And can you please tell us the circumstances of that opening of that office?
Yes, Dr. Murray wanted to work in opening an office for, in memory of his father, to serve the community of Acres Home.
And this was you. What was your job with regard to opening of that office?
I would sift through the documents involving the different locations in which we were looking at to possibly be the office.
Okay. And were you ultimately capable of opening up that office?
Yes, we began the process in the following year in June.
Okay. And when was the opening of that?
I believe it was July 10th.
Okay. Now, during the period, July 10th of what year?
2006.
Now, prior to that office being opened, Dr. Murray saw patients solely in Las Vegas. Would that be correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after the office opened in Houston, what was Dr. Murray's schedule at that time?
Excuse me, prior to?
After the opening of the office in Houston.
After the opening of the office in Houston, he would go every other week. So he'd be in Las Vegas every other week. So 1 week Las Vegas, 1 week Houston.
And the nature of the practice, his medical practice, was the same in Houston as it was in Las Vegas?
Can you rephrase that?
Well, was he a cardiologist? Both places treated people with heart conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, would it be fair to say, Ms. Ruggles, that the office in Houston, the makeup of the office, the individuals that he treated in Houston were substantially different than the types of patients he saw in Las Vegas?
Oh, yes, sir.
What would be the difference?
Most of them were indigent, were on fixed incomes, were unable to afford a physician.
And during the period of time that Dr. Murray ran that Houston office, were there many patients that he saw?
Yes, sir.
Was there high volume?
Yes, sir.
And during that period of time, can you tell us whether or not Dr. Murray was profited from that arrangement in Houston, Texas?
No, sir.
When you say no, can you be more specific?
Well, from what I could see, there was very minimal amount of income that came in from that office during that period of time.
And that was in large part because of the individuals that he chose to see.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Turnoff, thank you.
Redirect exam?
Yes.
Ms. Brazil? Oh, I do. I'm sorry. Real quick. So Mr. Gorgian is present for the record. I'm so sorry. When did you first learn of Dr. Murray deciding to work with Michael Jackson and go to Europe? When did you first learn of that?
I believe it was April of 2009.
And were you involved at all in the operation to try to get another cardiologist in there to take care of his patients?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was the process what was that process like, please?
Sustain.
Did you talk to any doctors?
Objection, relevant?
I'll sustain the objection.
350, 352.
Thank you.
Mr. Turnoff, thank you. Ms. Brazil, redirect.
Thank you. In June of 2009, Conrad Murray was operating a clinic in Las Vegas and a clinic or medical practice in Houston, correct?
Yes.
Only those two locations. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, Ms. Brazil. Recross, Mr. Turnoff?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
May the witness be excused subject to recall, Ms. Brazil?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Turnoff?
Yes, Judge. Ms. Ruggles, I want to thank you for your testimony. Please do not discuss your testimony and the facts of the case with any other witnesses until we finish the trial. You may step down and leave. However, you are to remain on call, and that means you're subject to recall up and through the end of the trial if necessary.
Oh, darn. please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Michelle Bella, Michellebella.
Ms. Bella, good morning. Let me provide you with instructions that I give to every witness in every case. The first is to please sit back and relax. The second is to speak loudly so all of us can hear you. The third is to answer a question yes or no if it's called for, rather than using slang like which can be confusing. And the last is to please wait until you hear an entire question before answering it. And that way we won't have people speaking over each other. Is that okay?
Yes.
And if you need some water, you've got your water bottle. We'll give you a cup, which is the only thing we'd like to have displayed here. So let's give us a moment. Can we get a cup? Can we have a cup, please? So if you'd like to pour some water in the cup, by all means.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Okay. Spell?
Yes.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Good morning, Miss Bella.
Good morning.
Miss Bella, do you recognize the defendant seated here in the courtroom wearing the purple tie?
Yes.
Indicating Dr. Murray, the defendant.
Yes.
Did you meet Conrad Murray in February of 2008?
Yes.
Did you meet him at a social type club?
Yes.
Were you working in the club?
Yes.
Was that club located in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Miss Bella, from that first meeting with Conrad Murray, did he give you his telephone number?
Yes.
And at some point after you met, did you contact him on the phone number that he had provided to you when you met in the club?
Yes.
And after your first meeting, did you and Conrad Murray communicate back and forth?
Yes.
Describe for me the types of communications that you had with him, please.
I'll sustain the objection. You can focus a particular question.
Yes. Miss Bella, did you call Conrad Murray on the telephone number that he provided to you when he met you in the club?
Yes.
Did he call you back, or did he make contact by calling you?
Yes.
Did Conrad Murray send you text messages?
Yes.
Did you text message Conrad Murray back on the phone number that he had given you?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to show you an exhibit that's previously been marked as People's Number 52. And I'd like to, thank you, Mrs. Benson. I'd like to direct your attention to the second yellow box indicating a time of 8:35 a.m. Do you recognize what was a contact number for you in June of 2009?
Yes.
Is that the number 925-786-6377?
Yes.
Miss Bella, did Conrad Murray send you a text on June 25th of 2009?
Yes.
Miss Bella, do you recall receiving a voicemail message from Conrad Murray on June 16th of 2009?
Yes.
Now, may I have the light?
Please.
I have an marked people next to at least 55.
Did I miss one?
Let me check, Your Honor. 54, Your Honor?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Let's double check, yes? The next exhibit is 54. It's marked.
I also have a transcript, Your Honor. I'd ask that it be marked People's 55, please.
We're going to object to the relevance of any phone messages that were left
Then
on the 16th.
I think we should approach sidebar, please. Right now, they're marked 54 and 55. They're marked only. Sidebar? Thank you.
Let me ask you some questions then about the conversations that you've had with Dr. Murray. During the time that you were communicating back and forth with Dr. Murray through phone messages and text messages, did Dr. Murray tell you that he was acting as Michael Jackson's personal physician?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And did he also
He was bragging.
leave that type of information on a voicemail that he left for you on your cell phone on June 16th of 2009?
Yes.
He was bragging.
And on the voicemail that Conrad Murray left for you in June 16th of 2009, did he indicate that he hoped to meet up with you or perhaps see you at a club later that month if you were working?
This is just trying to get around your...
Counsel, don't have territorial. Zimmer as well. Sustained.
During the voice message that Conrad Conrad Murray left for you on June 16th, did he indicate that he hoped to try to see you in person before he left on tour?
Objection to relevance.
Overruled. You may answer.
No. Did he make any plans to meet with you during...
To leading her witness.
Overruled. It's not the issue. Let's hear the whole question, then I'll hear the objection.
During the phone message that Conrad Murray left for you on June 16th of 2009, did he indicate to you that maybe you were on your way to the club and maybe he would see you before he left
Objection to
on tour?
relevance. Relevance.
Sustained.
Yes.
You do not have the answer.
Oh.
The answer will be stricken disregard. Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Ms. Zell, thank you. Mr. Chernoff, Cross?
No questions. Thank you.
May Ms. Bella step down subject to recall. Ms. Brazil? Mr. Chernoff?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Bella. Thank you for your testimony. Please do not discuss your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witness until we finish the trial. And while you may step down and leave, you are to remain on call, and that means you're subject to recall up until the end of the trial if necessary. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Brazil, Mr. Wogan.
Sade Anding.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last name.
Sade, S-A-D-E, Anding, A-N-D-I-N-G.
Ms. Anding, good morning.
Good morning.
Let me provide you with instructions, which I give to every witness in every case. The first instruction is to please sit back and relax. The second instruction is to speak loudly, and that way everyone can hear you. The third instruction is to answer a question yes or no if it's called for,
They're trying to attack you.
rather than using slang like which can be confusing. And the last instruction is to wait until you hear an entire question before responding. In our everyday lives, many of us are used to interrupting each other because we think we know the question. We start to answer it before we hear the entire question. It's important in a courtroom to wait to hear the entire question and then answer it. Is that all okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Direct exam, Ms. Guizot.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Anding.
Good morning.
Where do you live?
I live in Houston, Texas.
In February of 2009, were you working as a waitress in Sullivan's Steakhouse?
Yes.
Is Sullivan's Steakhouse a restaurant and bar combo?
Yes.
And is that also located in Houston, Texas?
Yes.
Ms. Anding, do you recognize someone in the courtroom today that you met while working at Sullivan's?
Yes.
Would you please indicate by pointing and describing what that person's wearing?
Black vest, suit vest with a purple shirt and
You
purple
do
tie.
something with
Well,
her
you
eyes.
identify Dr. Murray, the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Ms. Anding, when you met the defendant, you were working at Sullivan's,
Yes.
and he came in as a patron?
Yes.
During that first meeting, did the defendant give you his telephone number?
Yes.
Did you also give him your phone number?
No.
But he gave you his phone number and invited you to contact him. Is that accurate?
Leading the witness.
I'll sustain the objection.
Dr. Murray gave you his telephone number, correct?
Yes.
At some point, did you dial his telephone number?
Yes.
And did he answer?
Yes.
After that first meeting and your telephone contact with Conrad Murray, did the two of you spend time together?
Yes.
Did you also communicate with him by calling him on his telephone?
Yes.
Did he also contact you by calling you on your cell phone or a telephone?
Yes.
Did you ever exchange text messages with him?
Yes.
So he would text you and you would also text him, correct?
Yes.
Ms. Andine, from the time you met in February of 2009 until June of 2009, did you maintain regular contact either in person or through a telephone with Conrad Murray so that you got to know each other better?
Yes.
Did Conrad Murray refer to you as his girlfriend during that period of time?
Yes, but excuse me, only in like a playing sense. If we were at my job or if any other guests tried to talk to him, he would tell them that, no, I can't talk to you because that's my girlfriend over there, and would point me out.
Is that something that he would be saying in the club location?
Well, when he said that time, it was just to play around.
Did he say that more than once?
No, just once.
Turning your attention to June 25th of 2009, did Conrad Murray call you that day?
Yes.
And where were you located, in Houston or somewhere else when he called you?
Houston.
I'd like to show you an exhibit that previously has been marked as People's Number 52.
But in general, he was talking to all the girls. He was talking to his girlfriend.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Ms. Andine, directing your attention to the exhibit that is on the overhead projector, do you see your phone number, 832-366-3832, displayed on this exhibit?
Yes.
Was that your telephone number on June 25th of 2009?
Yes.
And you reviewed phone records or looked at records prior to coming to court today, indicating that that call placed by Conrad Murray to your cell phone occurred at 11:51 a.m. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Receiving a telephone call from Conrad Murray was nothing extraordinary or unusual on June 25th of 2009, was it?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. When Conrad Murray called you on June 25th of 2009, it wasn't anything extraordinary or unusual, was it?
No.
So tell me how the conversation went. He dialed you up, and what did he say to you?
What he said to me was, hello, it's Conrad Murray. And he said, how are you doing? And I said, hello, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. I haven't talked to you in a while. How are you? And then that's when he said, well, and then he didn't say anything. He just paused.
Let me stop you for a second, please. So you exchanged your normal greetings, and you said that you hadn't heard from him, you hadn't seen him in a while? Is that yes?
Yes.
Then did you see him in May of 2009 in Houston prior to this phone call?
Yes.
And the two of you went to dinner?
Yes.
So back to the telephone conversation, you exchanged your greetings, and you asked Dr. Murray how he is doing?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He just said, well, and then paused.
And then what happened?
And then that's when I said, well, let me tell you about my day. And I started telling him about my day.
And did he respond back to you?
No, that's when I realized he was no longer on the phone.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I was just talking, and the next thing, I was like, I said hello, hello, and I didn't hear anything. And that's when I pressed the phone against my ear, and I heard mumbling of voices. It sounded like the phone was maybe in his pocket or something. It was shh, and I heard coughing, and nobody answered.
Okay, let's go back a
Her
bit.
coughing.
So at some point during your conversation, you realize that he's not saying anything back to you. Is that accurate?
Yes.
About how long into your conversation with him would you estimate that he stopped responding or speaking back to you?
Let's say maybe, well, when I realized 5 to 6 minutes, but he probably could have been off the phone before that.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, about 5 or 6 minutes into the telephone call, you realized that he had not been saying anything back to you. Do I have that right?
Yes.
So you told us that you pressed the phone closer to your ear and you heard sounds that made you think that the phone might be in his pocket or something?
Yes.
And describe the coughing sounds that you said that you heard, please.
The coughing sounds I heard was more of
Did you recognize any voices?
no, it was the phone, I couldn't really hear as much. I just heard mumbling.
You heard mumbling?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes.
yes? Did you recognize the mumbling to be from Conrad Murray's voice that you recognized or some voice that you did not recognize?
I didn't recognize the voices at all.
And you indicated to us that you kept saying hello, hello. Did you say anything else in the phone besides hello, hello?
From what I remember, I said, hello, hello, are you there, hello?
And you repeated that phrase or those words several times?
Yes.
Did you ever receive an answer from Conrad Murray to any of your questions or statements of hello?
No.
What did you do next?
I hung up the phone and I tried calling back and there was no answer. I tried calling back again, no answer. I tried texting over and over and no reply.
And at some point later that day, you of course learned that Michael Jackson died. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Andine, I'd like to turn now to your next conversation with Conrad Murray after the conversation that you just described for us that occurred on June 25th, 2009. Around...
Yes.
Please.
Thank you.
The same look every single day. Just straight poker face. Just straight up poker face. Epitome. No look at all. Just a cold darkness over him. work my spirits.
Ms. Brazil.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Andine, as I was saying, around July 23rd of 2009, were you notified by your father that LAPD detectives were in Houston and would like to speak with you?
Yes.
Once you learned that the police from Los Angeles had arrived in Houston to speak with you, did you contact Conrad Murray?
Yes.
Did you call him on his phone?
Yes.
Did you speak with him?
Yes.
Did you tell him that the detectives from Los Angeles were present and wanted to speak with you?
Yes.
What, if anything, did Conrad Murray say to you when you gave him that information?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. The objection will be overruled. You may answer that.
He told me, why are they calling you? I'm so sorry that they're contacting you, and now you're in this. I'm going to give you my lawyer's number. Call him and make sure before you speak to LAPD you have my lawyer present.
Thank you, Ms. Andine. I have no further questions.
Ms. Brazil, thank you. Mr. Chernoff, cross, please.
Ms. Andine, it's nice seeing you again.
Nice to meet you.
Let's talk about the phone call that you had with Dr. Murray on June 25th, okay?
Yes.
You said that you heard mumbling.
Yes.
And you said that what you just said is I didn't recognize voices at all.
Yes.
So it could have been any voice, frankly.
Correct.
Could have been Dr. Murray, for instance.
Correct.
Okay. You had asked to estimate the amount of time that had gone by before you started you realizing that Dr. Murray wasn't paying attention.
Yes.
I want to ask it a different way, okay?
Yes.
How long were you on the phone after you realized that Dr. Murray wasn't paying attention? How long were you on the phone before you hung up?
I don't recall.
Would it have been a minute?
Can you repeat the question? I'm not...
Okay. I want to take you back there, all right? You're on the phone.
Yes.
You realize that Dr. Murray's not listening, right?
Correct.
And you hear ruffling and mumbling and coughing, right?
Same question.
How long did you
Said
listen to
5
that
minutes.
before you hung up?
3 to 4 minutes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Chernoff, thank you. Ms. Brazil, redirect.
Nothing. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. May Ms. Andine be excused subject to recall, Ms. Brazil?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chernoff?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Andine, thank you for your testimony. Please don't discuss your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witnesses till we finish the trial. You may step down and leave. However, you are to remain on call, and that means you're subject to being recalled up until the end of the trial if necessary. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Brazil? Mr. Walker?
Check the hallway, Your Honor.
You may.
You need to call. 'Cause I'm paid up.
Nicole Alvarez.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please be seated.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Alvarez. That's spelled Nicolealvarez. Good morning.
Let me provide you with instructions, which I give to every witness in every case. The first instruction is to please sit back and relax. The second instruction is speak loudly, and that way everyone can hear you. The third instruction is to answer a question yes or no if it's called for, rather than using slang such as which can be confusing. And the last instruction is to wait until you hear an entire question before you even start to answer it. In our daily lives, most of us are used to talking over each other because we think we know what the question is and we want to answer it. But in a courtroom, it's important to hear the whole question first and then respond to it. Is that all okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Direct, Ms. Brazil.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Alvarez, you of course recognize the defendant seated here in the courtroom, correct?
Indicating Dr. Murray.
In 2009, were you involved in a relationship with Conrad Murray?
Yes.
Damn.
In March of 2009, did you give birth to a son?
Yes.
And that son's father is Conrad Murray. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
Did you give birth here in Los Angeles?
Yes, I did.
At Cedars-Sinai Hospital?
Yes.
At the time that you gave birth, were you and the defendant living together?
Yes.
And that would be at 15406 6th Street in Santa Monica?
Yes, that's correct.
And how long had you been living at that address as of June of 2009?
I would say 3 to 4 years.
And when you moved into that location, did you move in with the defendant or did you move in on your own?
I moved in alone.
Ms. Alvarez, how old are you?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer it.
29.
And in June of 2009, ma'am, was your home phone number 310-310-8070?
Yes.
And was your cell phone number at that same time frame 310-497-1115?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you questions now about your relationship with Conrad Murray. When did you first meet him?
I first met him, I believe it was in 2005.
And where did you meet?
I met him out.
Where did you meet him?
I met him out in a social setting.
Was
She's
that
a
club?
hooker.
I believe so.
And was the club located in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Were you socializing at the club as well?
Yes.
Is it a place that you socialize on a regular basis?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Was Conrad Murray a guest at this club?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. You may answer.
He was there. Yes.
Well, you met him there. Was he working there or was he a guest?
I believe he was a guest.
Are you certain about that?
Yes.
And after you met him at the club, did you begin contact with him?
Yes.
Did you have an exchange of telephone numbers?
I believe so.
When you met Conrad Murray at the club in Las Vegas, where were you living?
In Los Angeles.
Where was Conrad Murray living when you met him?
I believe in Las Vegas.
You're just not sure where he was living? I mean, you said you believe. Do you know where he was living?
I've never been to his private residence, so no.
So when you exchanged numbers with him, you weren't really sure where he was living. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
At what point in time did your relationship develop into a personal relationship with Conrad Murray?
A few months.
So a few months after your first meeting in 2005, your relationship became a personal relationship?
We were friends for a while, yes.
And at some point, did your relationship progress to something beyond friendship?
Yes.
And did the two of you spend time together on a regular basis?
Yes.
Did you see him in Los Angeles or Las Vegas? Or both?
Both.
Ms. Alvarez, at some point during your relationship with Conrad Murray, did he tell you that he was Michael Jackson's doctor?
At some point, yes, I did.
When was that?
Perhaps in 2008.
Did Conrad Murray also tell you that he treated Michael Jackson's children?
He didn't get into the details. I knew that he was his personal physician, but I didn't hear of him ever treating his children.
So he only told you that he was treating Michael Jackson. He didn't tell you that he also had treated Michael's children. Is that accurate?
Yes.
When Conrad Murray turned on,
I learned that later on, but at the time, no.
how did you learn that later on?
Through what I've gathered through the media and news and...
Didn't you see it on the contract when the contract was faxed to your apartment?
Yes.
Ladder Foundation. We assume facts not in evidence. The objection sustained. The answer stricken. Disregard, please.
Now, do you have a fax machine, or did you have a fax machine in your apartment in 2009 in June?
I did have a fax machine, but it was never, it's not a fax machine that's hooked up. It's off to the side, and because of the phone line is across the room and it's not in a convenient place, it doesn't stay on. So if someone is going to receive a fax, they need to move the fax machine and hook it up. So I had one, yes.
And didn't you receive a fax and notify Conrad Murray that his contract had been faxed to him in late June of 2009?
I don't ever recall receiving a fax for him.
Ms. Alvarez, in September of 2009, do you remember testifying in a court proceeding?
Yes.
And in fact, Mr. Walgren asked you questions, correct?
Yes.
And during that proceeding, Mr. Walgren asked you whether or not you saw the contract between AEG and Dr. Murray, and your answer was yes. Do you recall that?
I do recall.
And Mr. Walgren asked you, and in that contract, it indicated that he would be receiving a monthly payment, and your answer was yes.
I had never read the details of the contract. If it came through my fax, I recall seeing a fax, but as to what it was, I don't recall that.
Ms. Alvarez, Mr. Walgren asked you what was that amount, and your answer was $150,000, I believe. Question, a month? Answer, yes. Mr. Walgren then asked you, and how was it that you saw that contract? Answer, it was in the fax machine. At your apartment? Yes.
That is correct.
So it is, in fact, accurate that you received a fax at your apartment and you looked at the contract and were aware that Conrad Murray was seeking and would be paid $150,000 per month.
I honestly don't recall that. If it was in the fax machine, then it was in the fax machine. It's not something that I was accustomed to doing, his business and receiving his faxes. I'm not his secretary, his assistant. I don't recall the specifics. But yes, if it was in the fax machine, then that is correct.
Well, in fact, you were under oath at the prior proceeding when you were answering Mr. Walgren's questions. You remember that, don't you?
Yes.
And you answered truthfully and told Mr. Walgren that the contract had come through the fax machine, you were curious and you looked at it, and that's how you knew some details about the contracts. You would agree that you told the truth when you told Mr. Waldron that, didn't you, Ms. Alvarez?
Absolutely. But as of this moment, I don't recall that specific moment. There's been a lot that has been going on over the past 2 years, and things do become very blurry. So if that's what I said, that's what happened.
So in fact, thank you, Ms. Waldron. So in fact, you knew in September of 2009 some of the details concerning the tour and your plans to accompany Conrad Murray. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Were you planning to give up your apartment in Santa Monica, or were you going to keep it when you went on tour?
No.
Overruled. You may answer.
Okay.
Hello?
I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet.
No. No.
Were you pretty excited about going on tour?
Yes.
You call me?
So when did you start packing to go on tour?
What?
I never finished packing.
Did you know when you were leaving?
No.
Were you expecting that you would find out those details
When did you call me?
shortly?
Yes.
And how
I
long
don't know about your
were
call.
you planning in your mind that you were going to be gone?
I haven't checked my phone.
Overruled. You may answer.
In my mind, I knew that I would be gone at least up until the holidays, and would be back for Christmas.
Okay.
So it was your understanding
Call me,
that you would return
call me
sometime
at
in
1 o'clock.
December?
November or December, I believe.
That motherfucker hung. He hung out in my face.
Rena, what time's the court planning to take our morning recess?
Just about now.
That would be a good time, Your Honor.
Let's do that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take the mid-morning break. Please remember all
Morning
the
break.
admonitions. We'll take the break until 11:15.
Quarter
We'll
to
see you
11.
at 10:45. Thank you. Watch your step.